everybody. Welcome back to Pat's War Room. I am just a girl who's trying to develop a better relationship with the Lord. And a couple of the ways that I've kind of found to be successful for me is by creating my own war room. If you remember the Kendrick Brothers a couple of years ago and Priscilla Shriver, they had a really popular movie out called The War Room. And it basically talked about how you have to create your own space where you can pour your heart out to God and just give yourself that quiet place and safe zone where you can go ahead and do that. And it really triggered a lot of people to set up their own war room. And so part of what I want to do is to encourage you that your war room doesn't have to be a room in a home. You don't have to clear out a whole room to do this. If you live like I do, my husband and I share about 850 square feet of a two-bedroom apartment. One of our bedrooms is our main office because I work from home. And I have just created and found a way where I have my war room, I have my prayer requests that are on my board that I add to and take off as needed, getting that long list of answered prayer lists on there. And the other piece that I do in my war room is journaling. And journaling is a very significant part of my life, of my husband's life, and within our marriage. And so what I hope to do during this time is share with you the importance of having your own quiet space with the Lord, your own war room, and just creating that safe space and how you want to do it. The other piece that I want to encourage you with and hope that you're able to do is journaling. And journaling is an opportunity for us to have that quiet time intentionally focused on developing a stronger permanent relationship with the Lord. And in the Bible, in Habakkuk, in chapter 2, verse 2, it says that the Lord replied, "Write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it." And adapting that to what we're doing, writing down in our journal our things we're grateful for, our confessions, when we ask for forgiveness, asking questions of God, and writing down his reply to us. That part of the verse that it says, so that a herald may run with it, well, we're kind of like the herald. We're going to be running with whatever God has helped us to see or his call to action for us. We also want to make sure that we follow through with it because we can hear a call to action. But what are we doing with that call? And then finally, we want to be consistent. We want to make sure that we are consistently working towards building and strengthening our relationship with the Lord. And we can do that by being consistent with our journaling. A lot of people like to journal every day. Some people do it 4 or 5 times a week. Really and truly, the more you do something, the more that firm foundation is set and the stronger that tie is going to be. And journaling is different for different people and the time of day that you do it. I prefer to do journaling in the morning. And I am a morning person and I get up 0 dark 30 a lot of days so that I can intentionally have that quiet time. My house is quiet, the neighborhood is quiet, and I can intentionally be in my war room and I can focus on my journal entry and writing for the day so that I have all day to ponder what the Lord has told me and walk in whatever he's asked me to do for that day, that moment, that season, that time. Because a lot of times when God calls you to action, it's not something you can take care of in 5 seconds. It's not like I'm going to go do the dishes now. Okay? His call to action is very different for each and every one of us. So the reason I prefer the morning is because then I'm not spending my entire day thinking, oh my gosh, I still have to journal. I haven't journaled yet. The day is escaping me. And then all of a sudden it's bedtime and I'm like, ugh, I didn't journal today because the day got away from me. And so that's why I encourage you to do it at the same time, all of the time, and just so that you have that firm consistency to do it. Now, are there times when I doing journaling at a different time of day? Yes. But I do try to be consistent to at least journal, and I prefer the morning time. So what I want to do as we're getting started with journaling is I want to encourage you to get a tablet, to get a notebook, to get a journal that you're comfortable with using and writing in. I very much prefer these with things and with a hardcover so that I can journal where I need to do. Because remember, I don't have a room, an office, or whatever. I don't have a desk I can always journal at. Sometimes I have to journal in my chair by the window or in the sunroom in a chair. I don't have, the opportunity for a separated desk when I'm finding my quiet time with the Lord. So I like to have a hardback notebook for that purpose. Your opportunity and place where you're going to be intentional about journeying might be completely different. It might always be in your office. It might always be at the countertop. It might always be at your kitchen table or dining room table. But because we live in such a small house that doesn't have a dining room, doesn't have a kitchen table, I am intentional about making sure it's got a hardback so that I can journal where and when I can get that time and opportunity. So as we're moving forward with journaling and getting started, I just want to encourage you to find that quiet space with the Lord. As we're setting up in your war room, there are going to be some people that you encounter when you talk about what's your war room look like. They talk about how it is far away from the rest of the home so that it is intentionally a very quiet place with no audio distractions. You're going to encounter some people, and you might be like me. I appreciate worship music playing in the background. It just helps my spirit. It helps bring me closer to the Lord. And I can't tell you what it is about it. I just appreciate that noise in the background and that worship music, hymns playing, praise music, anything like that that helps me to usher in the Holy Spirit is what I'm doing. Now, when we're journaling and we're doing those steps, gratitude, confession, forgiveness, asking a question, writing it down in my tablet, obeying, being consistent with it, following through with the call to action, I just want to encourage you that sometimes we might just be sitting there and we just might ask God a question and we don't write it down. I am not that type of person. I'm going to forget. I forget sometimes why I walked into the kitchen. I mean, truth is truth. I have to write it down, and that's why journaling is so important, to make sure you write it down. The other reason why it's so important to write your journal time and devotional time down is because sometimes we can go back 1-2 months later and go back and reread a journal entry and be reminded of how good God is and how grateful we is, because what we were talking about or asking or the call to action that God gave us a period of time ago, we can see the fruits of that labor already. We can see how good God is because he answered that. We can see how much he saved us because he said no. All of those things are true. And so by writing it down, we can go back and we can see the fruits of those. We can see what God has done during this time. So as we're stepping up and as we're stepping forward, I just want to encourage you, find that sweet time, find a spot in your house that you can create your war room where you can go in and pray fervently, effectually, and intentionally with the Lord to develop all of that with him. And I encourage you to write Post-it notes. Now you'll see I just have names on the outside, but on the other side of the index cards or the note papers, I have what that person or event needs prayer for specifically, so I can specifically pray for it. You'll also see I have our budget. I am in a war with our budget and our spending. And I intentionally brought that into my war room because I want to pray about the ability to pay off these debts and get my budget under control. Period. It's in my war room intentionally. So as you're going forward, I encourage you, start thinking about, start creating that space, that warm environment, and start journaling. I'll have it in the description below, the steps for journaling. We're going to continue talking about the pieces moving forward, but also like, love, and share. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you get the notifications, because going forward, I am going to be doing things, once, twice, 3 times a week, where we have specific journal questions. And honestly, your journal question for today could be, Lord, where do I set up my war room? He may have the perfect spot already planned that you haven't even conceived yet. Where do I set up my war room, Lord? All right, guys, make sure you hit like, subscribe, comments, and have a great day. Bye, everyone.